Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, welcome to Beyth Temple, Coral Springs online service. Hey, if you are a first-time viewer, welcome. It's my pleasure to have you here, to welcome you to our service. My name is Andre Johnson, and I am the lead pastor of this brand new life-giving church located right here in the amazing city of Coral Springs, Florida. Hey, if you are a member or a return guest, Shabbat Shalom, welcome to service this morning. So for my first time viewers who are watching today, allow me to help you kind of get centered as to the flavor, the feel of our church and of our ministry, and of how I preach and how I teach. So as a ministry, as a lead pastor, my heart for you is this. I want to help you grow in the fullness of the knowledge of Christ. Now, as a church, we have a mission, which is to see people live a better story. Why? Because they're powered by purpose, and purpose is everything. So we want you to do four things. We want to help you to know God. To know Him, not on a surface level, but to really know Him, to grow in your understanding of Him. Like a relationship, when you meet your girlfriend or your boyfriend for the first time, the more time goes on, you get to know Him, you get to love Him and love her. That's what I mean when I say I want you to know God. Number two, discover purpose. There's so many things, amazing things, such as the rainbow that God has placed in the sky as a reminder to us, and it has a purpose. So for me, as your potential pastor, someone who's checking out to be your pastor, I want you to discover the amazing purposes of the things that God has given us in this world. Number three, I want you to be able to find freedom. Find freedom from addiction, from low self-esteem, from the pains and hurts of your past that have kept you bound, that has prevented you from moving into all that Christ has for you in your tomorrows, because the pains of your past just won't let you go. So my job, my hope, my heart for you watching today is that as you continue to come back week after week, as you eventually join us in person for service, you meet friends, you develop relationships, that you find freedom. And finding freedom has also a second meaning. As a pastor, who is not always a pastor, of course, I understand more than you realize that there are so many things that are taught in terms of the religious circle, even in Christianity itself, that people believe are biblically based and or that people are just following as a way of worshiping Christ that aren't biblically sound. So I want you to find the freedom that Christ offers. And Christ says to us in John chapter 8, He says, if you obey my commandments, then you are my disciple indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So as a pastor leading this amazing new church here in Coral Springs, Florida, I want you to know the truth and to be set free from all the different doctrines and ideologies and theologies out there. Because there's one truth that Christ gave to the disciples to give to the entire world. And I want to help you grow in that truth so you can find freedom in your walk with Christ. Number four, I want to help you, as a church, we want to help you have opportunities to make a difference in the lives of other people. That's our heart, that's our passion. We absolutely love serving each other, serving the community. And we are the hands and feet of Christ. And as we grow in the fullness of who He is, and we allow His word to transform us from the inside out, then we're compelled by the love of Christ, by the knowledge of Christ, to go out into the community, to go out into the world and share the message of Christ, to share the love of Christ, to be a light in a dark world for Christ. Now we're told that we are the light of the world. And so in doing so, we want to be able to make a positive difference in the lives of other people. So again, that's our heart and that's our mission. Let me break down a little further for you as a first time guest. Let me say this. So while we worship on Saturday, are you guys Seventh-day Adventists? Are you from Judaism? What is that about? Let me help you understand. So for a long time in my walk with Christ, I had no idea about the Sabbath. I mean, I knew that you had the Seventh-day Adventists, you had Judaism, but I didn't understand, because it was never taught to me properly, the importance of keeping the Lord's Sabbath. And I was under the impression that as a Christian that I can go to work on, I can worship on Sunday or any day I want to, because it was really my choice, my option when I came to church. What I later discovered, by God's grace, he brought into my life my pastor, Al Penner. And he helped, little by little, me to grow in understanding. And one of those areas which I grew in was understanding the promises attached to keeping the Lord's Sabbath. You see, I didn't know that Sunday worship was a creation of man. It's not the creation of Christ, but I didn't know that. And everybody else is doing it. So naturally, you kind of follow the crowd. But when I stopped and I was blessed by God, with a pastor sent by God, who has the message and the truth of God, and I was an honest intellect, I allowed myself to be honest about what the Word of God actually said, I grew. So my humility, my humbleness, my desire to set aside any traditions of my family or traditions of my old church I went to, and let the Bible speak for itself to my heart, then I came to see that the Lord's Sabbath is not a denominational thing, because Christ never created denominations. Man created denominations. The Lord's Sabbath is a promise. It's a day of rest that has promise in our lives. So when we obey and keep his Sabbath, he tells us the good things he's going to do for us in our lives. So we're not, again, part of Seventh-day Adventist denomination. We're not part of Judaism. Again, those are religions that were created by man, and Christ never created religion. Having said that, let's get right into today's message. I'm excited for this new series. This new series is titled Ready, Set, Pause. Let me read to you out of the book of Ecclesiastes what Solomon says about seasons. Everything has a time. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 says, "To everything there is a season, a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck what is planted, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to gain and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace." So to everything, there is a season, there is a time. This new series is for those folks who are in that season of preparation for marriage. So if you are single right now, this series is for you. I want you to be productive in that time that you're looking for a husband or for a wife. So ready, set, pause. We're going to pause and take inventory. Now we're going to grow. Again, a great thing about our ministry is that we are always working on growing ourselves, growing in Elohim's word, growing as a community. So let's pause and let's actually do some inventory as we prepare for those of you who are in that season, who are looking to be married. Let me ask you a question. How or where did you first learn about love? I'm gonna tell you, for me, as a probably 13-year-old, 12-year-old, I learned about love from LL Cool J. Any rap fans out there, hip hop fans out there? Man, his song, I Need Love, back in the day, that was my jam. And I can't remember the entire song, but here's some of it. He said, "When I'm alone in my room, I stare at the wall In the back of my mind, I hear my conscience call, telling me I need a girl who's as sweet as a dove. For the first time in my life, I knew I need love. There I was, giggling about the games that I have. Okay, but you get what I'm saying. So I had learned about love through entertainment. LL Cool J, songs in R&B, groups like Guy, people like Keith Sweat, singers like Keith Sweat. I mean, even soap operas. I will admit, as a kid, I watched soap operas. And I was like all into soap operas. And I loved the love stories. So a lot of things I grew up learning and understanding about love came from the culture. And so what I find as a seasoned adult now, someone who is happily married for 6 years to an amazing, beautiful wife who's all that and a bag of chips, is that we have to unlearn and relearn a lot of things about love. And the time to do it is in that preparation season for marriage. So, full disclosure, I've said it before in the past that, again, growing up a hip-hop fan, listening to LL Cool J and listening to all kind of rap music, you know, a lot of the rap music back in the day was very misogynistic. I mean, just really painted a picture of women that was very not so Christ-like. And I can think back to even like Sir Mix-a-Lot, right? I like big butts and I cannot lie, right? So all those things as an impressionable 13, 14, 15-year-old, hearing them over and over again, watching music videos. Women in bikinis and thongs and things like that, they began to form and shape my understanding of relationships, of women, of a man or manhood. So I grew up. Again, I say it now as somewhat embarrassed that was how I used to be. But as a player, right? I dated for sport. Can anybody out there watching today relate? I mean, maybe it wasn't dating for sport for you, but maybe you have absorbed from culture some ideals, some concepts about love, about relationships that really are unhealthy, that really are counterproductive to all that we're trying or desiring to have in our lives. You know, I had hurt so many women in my life because I was like Puff Daddy and Jay-Z and Biggie Smalls, you know, girls. And it was fun in that season. But I look back on that season now and I say, man, what was I thinking? But God, but Elohim, He opened my eyes to help me see that I needed to work on myself. So when He brought my amazing wife, Cecilia, into my life, He brought her into my life as a friend. And it was through me watching her character, me beginning to understand that before me, what I had was that Proverbs 31 woman. For those of you who aren't familiar with Proverbs 31 woman, let me read it to you, what it says. Proverbs 31 verse 10 says, "Who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband safely trusts her. So he will have no lack of gain. She does him no good. She does him good. She does him good and no evil. And seeks wool and flax and willingly works with her hands. She's like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar." As I said before, because I had absorbed so many just counterproductive concepts and ideas and thoughts and beliefs about women from entertainment, from hip-hop music and from soap operas and from movies, that as I dated in my 20s and in my 30s, right, I didn't value women. I didn't really have an appreciation for women because they were replaceable, they were exchangeable. Well, who's next was kind of my heart, kind of my mindset. Can anybody watching relate? to that. I mean, even women. There are some women out there watching who may can relate to the fact that they may have dated for sport. They may have went from man to man to man. And as we come to find, as we get older, we mature, that there's so much more than just a date for sport. So when he brought he being Elohim, of course, being God, Cecilia into my life, I began to understand that before I embarked upon desiring to have her as my girlfriend and then maybe my future wife, that I needed to pause. Well, that says love, but I needed to pause. I needed to work on Andre because I didn't want to mess it up. I didn't want to bring hurt and pain into her life. You see, we are designed for relationships. Now, Elohim created us for relationships. I mean, think about that for a second. When he grabbed the dirt and he formed Adam from the dirt, what did he say to Adam? That it's not good for man to live alone. He then, from Adam's rib, created woman so that Adam can be in relationship. So as a ministry, again, my heart as a pastor is just that, right? I want us to be relationship-centered people, right? That horizontal relationship and the vertical relationship. No, vertical and horizontal relationships. So we're designed for that. And sometimes when two people get together, right, they bring their baggage, right? They bring their past hurts, their past pains, and their scars and their wounds, and they come into it, it's unhealed, it's unresolved. And then what happens is now you have a dysfunctional relationship. And when I met Cecilia, I wanted to have a functional relationship with her. I wanted it to work. I found that Proverbs 31 woman, that virtuous woman. I saw value far above rubies in her. Maybe you watch it today. You may be in that season where you're eyeing someone. You see your own, Proverbs 31 woman, or you might see your own Proverbs, was another Proverbs 31 man, but you get what I'm saying. But we have to do the work of unlearning and relearning what God wants for us. Because if not, then our present, right now, all that hurt and that pain and all those bad ideas about love and about relationships that we picked up, our present will become our past. And then the past will become present in your future. So again, if you have unresolved pain, again, some men, and there's a lot of women who have been hurt, who don't trust anymore, who've been a good boyfriend or a good girlfriend, and for whatever reason they were mistreated, possibly even abused, possibly. And then for some people like myself, when I was single, right, I was a playboy. And so that present will become our past. And the past is pesty. That past will then present itself or become present in our tomorrows. Hence why, again, I say that we have to work on ourselves. Pause. Let's unlearn and relearn. One of the myths that culture teaches us about to absorb is this myth here. The right person myth. I mean, have you watched like movies and thought to yourself like, oh, I wish I had a woman like her. Oh, I wish I had a man like him. I'm sure we all have, right? We pick up and absorb from culture this idea of the right person. And again, going back to my story about hip-hop music and me being impressionable as a 13, 14, 15-year-old, right? When you see all the rappers and a certain kind of girlfriend and the movie stars with a certain kind of girlfriend, again, you think, because you kind of look up to them, that that's the right person for you as well. I want a woman like that. I want a man like that. But that's not really the right person for us. So one of the things that I did in my season, I hope that you do in your season right now, is I stopped focusing in on finding the right person. And I focused on becoming the right person. Oftentimes we miss that. For me, I had met good women. I'm not gonna lie, I had met good women. But when you don't appreciate women, it doesn't work out. If you're a woman, if you met good men, but yet you've kind of grown up with that Paris Hilton mindset or Kim Kardashian mindset. I don't really know about Kim Kardashian that much, but again, the women who just want men to buy them things and things like that, right? So then you had a good man, but you didn't appreciate him. Or a man, you had a woman, you didn't appreciate her. So one of the things that I hope that you do, hope that you begin to think differently as you're in this season, is let's become the person that we're looking for is looking for. I'm going to repeat that. Let's become the person that we're looking for is looking for. And that was my heart when I met Cecilia. I was purposing in my heart that I wanted to become the man that she was looking for. I didn't want to bring that old baggage of my past, being a womanizer, lying, cheating, into what I wanted to have with her. I wanted to become that new creation that Christ tells us we become in Him. So I began to study. I began to read books, watch DVDs, watch different Bible studies. And I hope the same is true for you. There's a plethora of information. That's good information that will help you in your season right now. And I don't know what your particular challenge may be. There's a huge spectrum there. But let's work on ourselves. Let's become that person that you're looking for is looking for. Let's first start off this series again with love. I love how Paul describes it in 1 Corinthians. He gives us a whole list of things of what love is. Patient, kind, doesn't boast. Then let's hold it in line with what Paul tells us as men. Now I'm talking to the men who are watching today, about how men are to love their wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself for the church. I had to learn how to have that kind of love. And it wasn't something that happened in a night or in a month. It was a process. I made mistakes, got up, kept pressing on. So when you look at the life of Christ, the Mashiach, and how he interacted with the disciples and those who he encountered during his earthly ministry, he demonstrated for us as men the kind of love we're to have for our wife. So love is patient. When he met the disciples and he knew that they did not know that they were in a religion, he was patient with them as he taught them. He didn't expect them to know that they were in a religion. He was patient. And he's that way with you and me today. Our mark is to be perfect. And so to grow in perfection means you have to grow in understanding of his word and begin to live out the things that he's commanded us to do. And that takes time. That takes focus. That takes effort. You fall down, you get back up. You repent, press on. So as a man, or if you're watching and you're a woman, are you patient? Are you a patient person? Cecilia was very patient. Praise God for her. I had to grow into be patient because I had this mindset of a instant gratification heart. That's what I wanted. I want things to happen right now, to be perfect right now, be the way I envision them right now. But that's not how things are. So as I worked on myself, I had to be patient with Andre first, because I was working on becoming for Cecilia. Love is kind. If you know Cecilia, man, you know that she is probably one of the, if not the most kindest people on this earth. And I had to grow in kindness as well, because I was self-centered. Right? When you grow up and you don't appreciate, you don't value women, sometimes you're unkind. Because you're thinking about yourself. So I had to work and grow and allow Elohim, or allow God, to burn off the yuckiness so that I could again become the man that Cecilia was looking for. So my love has grown. My love is patient. My love is kind. Love does not boast. How many of you watching today are just turned off by a man who boasts? How much money he makes, his car, how successful he is, if you're a woman. How many men watching are also turned off by women who boast? So boasting doesn't work. It's not compatible for a functional relationship. Now, fortunately for me, I didn't struggle in this area here. I wasn't a boaster. I never was a boaster. But again, there might be someone out here who's watching today who may need to hear this, who may boast. And that's a turnoff for the person that you eye as your right person, that you want to become the person that he or she is looking for. So Christ never boasted. I am Elohim who's come in the likeness of human flesh. Bow down to me. No, that's not what he did. He just loved on people. He allowed people to be attracted to him because he was gentle, like a dove, harmless. That's how we are to be as well. That's how our love is to be as well. So in this season, if that is an issue for you in your life, let's work on that. Love is also, it's not self-seeking. Again, probably everyone can attest who's watching today that, and I can attest to my own experience, my own personal old character of seeking your own desires, putting yourself ahead of the other person, putting what you want as the most important part of the universe. You know, what I've come to learn and I've come to become for Cecilia is that I'm second. Right? I put her first. I even had a bracelet at one point in time that said, I am second. I've lost that bracelet. I wish I had it still. But it's a good reminder for me to put her first, put her needs ahead of mine. To allow her to be the center of my universe. Then we work from there. Love does not dishonor others. So one of the things that sometimes happens in relationships is that when people argue or they fight, they tear each other down. They dishonor each other with their words. They get cutthroat. And see, once you kind of cut a person's heart, you can say sorry, you can make up, but those words are still in there. It's like that, that story about the nail. You put the nail in the wall, you hammer it in, you can pull the nail out, but the hole's still there. So if that's an area in your life that you need to grow in, taming the tongue, let's do the work. Let's do the work so that we don't dishonor the person that you love. Love is not proud. I was once proud because I was a person who suffered from low self-esteem. So if I felt you were slighting me, it affected my manhood, and I had to kind of buck up at you and let you know that, hey, don't talk to me like that. But when I met again Cecilia, and I realized I had that woman who has value or worth far greater than rubies. Just the way that she was, her sweetness, her gentleness, allowed me not to have that pride that I once had. She never dishonored me. She never put me down. Never made me feel less than. Again, if those of you heard my story a few weeks back, about me being homeless for a season. Again, she was so gentle with me. She helped wipe me clean. She helped build me up. She stood side by side, shoulder to shoulder with me. And that's what I needed in that season. Because sometimes that pain from something happening in your life can cause you to have a false sense of pride. But as a future husband or a future wife, let's make sure that we get rid of pride. Because that will definitely be counterproductive to your relationship. So love is the first area that we should focus on in this pause, in this season. Learning first how to love ourselves better, forgiving ourselves of anything that's in our past, healing ourselves of things that are in our past, so that when when you love your future bride or your future husband, you can love him or her well. You see, marriage is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, especially when the two people have done the work prior to coming into the marriage. Cecilia and I have a wonderful marriage. Now, do we have disagreements sometimes? Absolutely. There are times where things I do annoy her, and vice versa. But because we've done the work of healing ourselves prior to our marriage, that those things don't really become significant. They're like small pebbles. We don't spend time arguing and fighting, holding grudges with each other. That's what we want for you. We want you to have an amazing marriage. We want you to have an amazing relationship. But in this season, again, pause. And instead of focusing on finding the right person, focus on who you are becoming. This way, when the Yehovah, or the Lord, brings into your life that right person, you're healed or working on being healed. And you will have that amazing marriage that you've always dreamed about. And it'll be beautiful. And he or she will be all that you have desired him or her to be. Then you for him or her will be all that he or she has desired as well in a wife or in a husband. So our focus this season, again, is on becoming, in preparation for that beautiful marriage that Elohim has in store for you. Amen. Amen. All right. Hey, next week, but next time we're together, we're going to be joined by my beautiful, amazing, wonderful wife, Cecilia. And I'm going to allow her to speak into your life as well and share with you, especially for the women, the things that she did in her season when she paused and was preparing herself for me. So I look forward to having my wife with us next time we're together. So I hope you have a great week. Hey, you know what I say every week in closing? I'm not a rapper and I'm not a singer, but if you want to experience more of God's glory, we'll come back next week. It's going to help you live a better story. Be well, my friend. I look forward to seeing you next time.